Welcome to the show. And let me just tell you, if you love Star Wars, you love sci-fi, you're going to love my next guest author. He's a featured guest author. His name is M.G. King. I had a chance to talk to him a little bit yesterday, and it got me so excited about this interview today. Welcome, M.G. Glad that you're here.
Thanks for having me.
M.G., you wrote the book Heirs of the Champion, The Well of Magic, Book 1, and there are some big plans for this book. I mean, I can't wait to dive in and talk about possibly big screen stuff that's going to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, MG, let's talk about kind of what the book is about.
It's about my two main characters are brothers, twin brothers, and their father works for the king. It's called the Champion of the King. That's why it's called Heirs of the Champion. And when they're 10 years old, their father gets killed by the self-proclaimed Dark Lord. And one of the brothers gets kidnapped in the process. So both of the brothers get raised in very different environments. One gets raised to be the follower of the Dark Lord, and one of them gets raised, in the kingdom where they came from. So they grow up to be very different.
And it's interesting because there's such a bigger message to this, that they both started with great hearts and they were very close growing up. The environment kind of changed the trajectory of where they went, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say that bigger message is that you're trying to share with the world?
As people read the book, and then as the sequels come out, you'll realize that no matter what you were taught or how you were raised or what your mindset is like, there's always room for improvement and change.
Wow. Your love for sci-fi goes back to when?
1997, when the special editions for Star Wars came out.
What happened then?
My dad bought the trilogy VHS set, and we never knew what it was, me and my brothers. And then after we watched the first one with my dad, we were just kind of blown away.
And I want you to tell me how many times you've seen the movie.
I probably lost count. It's got to be in the thousands by now.
That's my favorite part of knowing what you're going to say. That's got to be like a part of a Guinness Book of World Records or something. But that had a huge influence on you, right? I mean, you can loosely say that the bad guy in your book is somewhat built around Darth Vader.
To an extent, yeah. More so the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
But, Vader is one of my favorite villains, and I try to take aspects of my favorite villains, even beyond Star Wars, to mix into my bad guys.
The two brothers, Cedric and Caedus?
Yeah.
Talk to me about those two brothers.
I base Caedus off of me in terms of how he looks and just the decision-making he makes on, I would choose the same path he would in the same circumstances. And Cedric, I have three brothers, but I didn't really base Cedric off of anybody. But in the sequel that I'm working on, I base him off of one of my younger brothers a little bit.
What would you say your personality is that you would base him on the one character? Are you hopeful? Are you a positive guy? I mean, you look like a big tough guy. You're tatted up. You're a Jersey guy. You look like you could take care of business. You don't have to be a positive guy. You can take care of whatever you want to take care of,
In the beginning of the story, Caedus is somewhat arrogant because I have been in the past, and you have to learn through experience that you're not, the best or the greatest or the strongest, and you get humbled over time. And he learns to tries to learn from his mistakes and become, wiser over time.
Wow. It does sound like there's a lot of you in him. That's really interesting. What did you learn about yourself in writing this book?
Learn about myself. Just, I guess, how great my imagination can be. Because I've taken, bits and pieces and ideas from other mediums, but I've tried my best to make everything my own. So everyone can say he didn't copy off anything. This is all original.
Absolutely. So in addition to Star Wars, what were some of your other influences?
Believe it or not, a lot of musicians are my influences.
Really?
Like the guys from Kiss. Like Kiss is one of my favorite bands, and so was like Ozzy Osbourne, because a lot
Mhm.
of those guys, they were very poor and they came from nothing, and they wouldn't stop until they achieved what they have.
Hmm. They knew it was about hard work, right?
Yeah.
And about entertaining.
Hmm.
And it seems like they maximized every bit of talent that God gave them. They didn't waste any of it. That's what I've always really admired about them. MG, let's talk about your writing process. Do you know from beginning to end what's going to happen? Or are you taking on the journey as you go?
It's a little bit of both, especially with Heirs of the Champion. I knew where I was going to head, and so I came up with the prologue, and I knew where my characters were going to be later on in the series, and I just had to figure out how to get them from point A to point B. And I actually didn't know how I was going to end the book until the last day I was writing it, because I was making a lot up as I went.
Are you kidding me? I mean, if you didn't know how it was going to go, there's no way that someone who's reading this is going to go, "Oh, well, that was predictable." No, that's an impossible scenario. Then, you know.
Yeah, I try to come about it as a fan first of reading and various forms of media, where I don't want people to predict where the story's going. So I
Yeah.
mean, maybe people can predict some things, but how the story is going to head and how things are going to end, I don't think anyone will see coming.
MG, this is the story, the characters, the story is so big. It feels like it jumps out of the pages and it feels like it belongs not just in a book, not just on television, but on big screen. Can you talk to me about that?
That's one of my goals at the moment. I want to get to the point of like writing full time and not having my day job.
Hmm.
So I guess when my publisher told me when the book wasn't done yet, I let people in the entertainment industry read the first 5 chapters before it came out, and agents from Hollywood caught wind of it and they really like it. So I'm working with people to get a script off the ground. It's already halfway done, and from what I know, Netflix is interested so far, but nothing's in stone yet.
Well, we're talking to MG King, Heirs of the Champion, The Well of Magic, Book One. And when you say Book One, that leads me to ask, how many books are there going to be?
It's planned for 12 so far in the main
12.
series.
I mean, you got to think 12, there's going to be babies born, there's going to be people dying, there's possibly generations and new worlds happening, right?
Yeah, the way it's going, I'm setting up. My main characters are going to be the main characters for a long time, but as the story goes on, they get older and they have kids, and the kids grow older and kind of take center stage towards the end.
MG, this is kind of a sensitive question. Do you write with all the colors in the crayon box? I mean, do you write with the sensitive colors? Do you write with the extreme colors, the angry, the happy? Are you kind of more low key, or are you a little bit more paced in a certain, do you keep your emotions in check? What is the style of your writing? I guess I'm asking as far as emotions go.
Yeah, I get quite emotional during some scenes. Like I know, like if a certain character's death were to come up, or if something major happens that'll impact my characters emotionally, I get emotional, and sometimes I have to stop myself from writing for maybe like a half an hour before I continue,
Really?
because I see these characters as like my friends, my family, people that I personally know.
They're from you. They're like your children. You've birthed them.
That's what it
It,
feels like.
in a way, you're their God, you know?
Yeah, so whenever I feel whenever their pain comes across on page, is something the pain that I felt from creating that scenario myself.
MG, this has been so interesting talking to you. I wish we had more time. Thank you so much. Share with us where we can reach out to you, find out more about you and your books.
I have social media, Facebook and Instagram. It's just MG King author, and if you just look it up, I should be the first one that comes up
All
on
right,
both of
great.
them.
And we got lots of stuff on the screen, so we should be able to find you. MG, have a great one. We're going to be following you, and I have a feeling we're going to be eating popcorn and buying tickets to see your books in the future.
Thanks.
Thanks, bud. Take care.